my first reaction is like, what an astonishing admission of what it's been. Because to say it was all those things beforehand, as he just clearly admitted, you'd be gaslit into thinking, no, you're crazy. We are open. Like, it's not like they didn't pretend they were all the things they want to be beforehand.
Mm-hmm.
like this isn't the fact that he's saying we're making a change without acknowledging that it's not like we were outwardly explicitly the other way before when they obviously were and we all could see it. It reminds me of like someone getting up and saying, I don't think we should close schools when COVID comes back. I've decided myself that it's a bad idea. I've come to this realization. There's a bit of that in there where it's like, you're not saying the quiet part out loud. Like there's no apology. There's no sense of like humility and like regret and remorse for like the fact that this platform has been this censorious, controlled, in cahoots with the left, anti-free speech platform for so long.
Right. So, and put another way, they're kind of saying like, just like you, we also got swept up in it. As opposed to like, we were the ones that led the charge. We're the most powerful company in the world. Yeah. Without our input, you would never have gotten swept up in this in the first place. They're like, yep, we all kind of messed up, didn't we?
Yeah. So it's what's unsaid, and I can't let that slide. Like, what I'll say is like, I like that it's going this way, but I can't respect him and that choice, what's motivating him, because it's not brave to make that move now. It's brave to do it when Elon bought Twitter and bet that hopefully the culture would move that way and said, we're going to commit to free speech as a principle. And you may disagree on like my stances or positions on Elon Musk. And he actually did something recently on Twitter that was just like, oh boy, but we'll talk about that too. But at least in his time when he was doing it, he was like taking a stance on principle from my perspective. And not knowing where the culture and politics were going to go, and took a huge public hit for it, fell out of favor with a lot of the mainstream, was pushed to the corner and decided to go red pill and support Trump. And that is what I think Facebook is claiming to try to do now. But It's like he's even saying now that the culture seems to be okay with it and is going to like us for it, we'll do the right thing.
Well, he was saying it's even worse than that because he's saying we got swept up in the culture in 2016, and now we're going to get swept up again in what's going on in 2024. Like, we don't really have a compass. Whichever way you guys tell us to do it, we'll just do it.
It's like
you know what I'm saying? Like, X has been successful, so we'll do that now. But it's not because we're making a bold choice here.
Yeah, when you criticize the left, it's often like, look, you're doing the wrong thing, even if you're doing the wrong thing, even if it's for the right reasons. And in this case, you're doing the right thing, but it's for the wrong reasons.
Mm-hmm.
The left is like you're doing the wrong thing for the right reasons, possibly. And in this case, you're doing the right thing for the wrong reasons. Like you want to go along with it now, and under the guise of I've learned the air, I've seen the light, and I can appreciate that his politics have clearly changed. But I would respect more a fully honest account of that. Like, not we all were swept up in it. Everyone, I was, we were, or like come out criticizing what's what. I'm all for like, I don't want to like hold someone to their same positions and whatever policies for their whole life if they actually have a genuine change. But don't try to coat it and sugarcoat it in this whole like, clearly, like in the the election and what's been going on, like it's like you said, it's worse. It's like clearly this is what you people want now, so we're gonna go there. Yeah. And it's a market decision, not a principled decision, being presented as a principled decision.
My first impression was any bit of credibility you had left, you just lost. Like you can't even stand by your old decisions. Like I'm just like, this is such a bad look. Like you get so much coaching and you still look so awful here. So that's all the very negative light to see it in. There is a positive light to see it in, which I felt it's kind of a watershed moment for taking him at his word, which is, listen, a lot of us went through a communal experience of buying into an ideology that we want to now backtrack on.
Mm-hmm.
Like maybe we experienced it differently because I'm the head of Meta and you're not, but
Mm-hmm.
as a culture, we are sort of, as a generation, taking a step back together, which is pretty amazing and cool and interesting to watch in real time.
It's an interesting observation, but the fact is that they were so complicit in it, and to simply say, like, we've all clearly moved. It's like, no. Like you said, we were a certain way. You were trying to force us to
Right.
move a different way. And now
Right.
you're recognizing that you were wrong. Say that, and I'll respect you.
Mm-hmm. Right. No, so throwing respect out the window. That's not even coming.
No, observationally, it's pretty
but
amazing. It's woke is broke. The bubble has burst. Everybody recognizing it. Can you imagine any Silicon Valley ever CEO saying, "And I look forward to working with Trump"?
When
Never.
he invited the CEOs in 2016 to the White House, it was hugely controversial. I think that Tim Cook showed up. I think some of them didn't show up, even just to meet him and shake his hand.
Yeah.
And it swung so far the other way.
Yeah.
But it's pretty delightful. I mean, I can't imagine if Kamala had won.
Mm-hmm.
I can't imagine this happening.
Yeah, it's an elections has consequences moment, and also just the sheer admission of the fact that it is now valid and true and affirmed that they were in fact repressing civic content. They were like flip it in reverse. Everything he said in its negative. What does that mean? It means they were squashing content they didn't agree with, opinions they didn't agree with, censoring free. I want to say free speech and use that word too loosely, but free speech and ideas they didn't like were not being shown. All that shadow banning stuff that people were talking about, algorithmic shadow banning, whatever, based on filtering certain content and fact checkers, it's all true. That's what they were doing. And people weren't imagining these things. And it wasn't some right-wing conspiracy. And talking about COVID origins and things like that. Or making jokes and being punished for it. Like if you didn't fall in the right favor of the right opinion slot, like opinion narrative. That's what they were doing. And he just admitted all that. And I would have, if he had the integrity a little more or honesty, he would have admitted that in a much more explicit way, as opposed to this reverse engineer I have to infer from everything you just said that is telling us what you actually were beforehand.
Yeah.
By saying we're making a change.
And I saw some tweets from like people on the left also, and he didn't please them either with that speech. So he's kind of in the wilderness now. He's done. He's done. His career's over.
He's not. He's clearly. I mean, I respect the skill and the talent and whatnot, but his ability to communicate and emote in an authentic way is a handicap for him. Where like he can't seem to find his way out of those things, even in a carefully crafted video like this. Remember that scene in the courtroom where they were like, "Can you apologize to the families?" And the poor guy has to get up and look at all these screaming parents yelling at him. Did you ever see that clip?
No.
Yeah,
he
testified before Congress, and he's like, "Will you apologize to the parents in this room whose kids like committed suicide because of your platform and the harm it's caused?" Yes. And he like gets up, like, and he's like sipping water nervously. You know,
your girl Kara Swisher tells a story. I think his first big interview in like 2008 or something, not 2008, like 2006 or something. She had him on stage at I think it was her first like Recode conference. She does these big tech conferences, and she basically got him to kind of like cry.
Oh boy!
And she had a moment where she was like, "Oh, like what am I doing to this 21-year-old kid?"
Oh boy!
And she kind of like let him take a break. He was sweating so much. She called a break or something and let him regroup and like come back and like kind of save himself. But she was like, "Oh God, like I thought I was gonna like own him, and I just feel so bad for him. I have to I have to go easy on him." Yeah, that was a long time ago, but he's still got his issues.
It's interesting. Do you follow what's been going on in Canada?